economy to grow? Basically, we could do this. This is called non-biased growth in the sense that it's moving out in approximately the same direction. Growth is an addition, we've already talked about it, of land, labor, or capital, or technology that allows us to produce more. Everybody? This could be due to technological change, this could be due to more immigration, this could be due to more net investment, and so on. This is called biased growth. Now, here's a little example for you. Just very quickly, because in the very first problem set, which is the oldest problem set of all my, oldest problem question, all my problem sets, I picked out of an old, years ago, problem set, is this. It says, Basil and Albert are talking. And Basil says, like talking about agriculture and non-agriculture. Everybody? Okay. So this is agriculture down here. So agricultural products, these are non-agricultural products. And Basil says, maybe I'll do it this way. Basil says, get rid of this junk here. Basil says, this is our original thing, and this is called this A. And this is non-A up here, manufacturing goods. Basil says, it's amazing the technology of the last 10 years. It's increased agricultural production by about 20%, or some large amount. But it hasn't increased manufacturing production at all. So it might be like technological change in fertilizers. Okay? So we're producing, agricultural production productivity has gone up by 20%, and non-agricultural production has hardly gone up at all, like it's so far as technology is concerned. Number one. But then the other guy says, Basil says, yeah, that's interesting. But in fact, manufacturing output has gone up, and agricultural output has actually gone down. Right? This seems a contradiction. But I'll quickly show you that it's not. And you can see this is my first problem set question in production possibility curves. It's this. The change in the production possibility would look something like this. Right? Notice. And specifically, if this was 100, this would be 120. Because agricultural production went up. And if you're producing nothing but agricultural products, it would go up by 20%. But if you're producing non-agricultural products, it barely went up. Everybody? This is called bias change. Notice it? So the society can produce a lot more agricultural goods and not many non-agricultural goods. Well, what is the contradiction then? The guy says, but in fact, we're producing more non-agricultural goods and we're not producing any more agricultural goods. So that seems a contradiction, but it's not. Because the production possibility simply tells you what you can do. It doesn't say what you actually choose. So it's fairly simple. You just do this. Pretend that this is where we start. Right there. We're on that point, say. Okay, that's the point. Now then, where is this society now? Is this society here, given that agricultural production didn't go up and only manufacturing production went up? Is that where it is? Is it? No, because obviously agricultural production went up. There. So what it is it will look something like this. It doesn't matter that the economy, its possibilities increases in a certain way. That's one thing. That's the production possibility curve. But what the society chooses is another matter. Now there may be people in this room who really want to go into music or art or any number of things. They want to travel around the world, who knows what. But their parents said, you can't do that. You've got to take economics, right? And that happens. And therefore, even though, and you might be in fact really good at music and not very good at economics, but you have to take economics. What you do isn't necessarily related to what you can do. That's all I'm saying. Distinguish the idea. The ability to improve your productivity doesn't mean you'll necessarily produce more of that which you can produce the most. Everybody? Small ideas taken. A lot of ideas here. Just connect them. Okay, good. So our next step is this. Now we're going to choose between consumption goods and capital goods. Now notice what I have here. Watch carefully. This is my original production possibility curve right here. We can produce consumption goods or we can produce capital goods. And this is an important issue for us for the reasons we're going to see. Consumption goods are goods that are consumed right now, produce nothing. Capital goods are goods that can be added to the capital stock as investment. Everybody? Okay? So, now then, just let me show you. This is our original point right here, this one in the middle. Now it says, supposing we choose, notice what depreciation is here. Ta-da! We call these machines, right? Let's say there's 10,000 machines in the society. They're the capital goods. We can produce depreciation this year is 1,000 machines. Everybody? All right. Now notice we have choices. We can produce 1,000 machines this year and this amount of consumer goods. We can produce 800 machines this year and we can have more consumer goods. We can produce 1,200 machines this year, we'll have less consumer goods. Everybody? Now consumer goods is really where we want to get to. You know, we don't want machines per se. People don't need machines. But this gives you a sense of something. Supposing we choose to produce this amount of consumer goods and therefore we produce 1,000 capital goods, i.e. 1,000 machines. What is net investment? Zero. What is the change in the production possibility curve? Remember the production, what is the change in the capital stock? Zero. What determines the production possibility curve? The capital stock, the amount of labor, the land. Is there a change in the production possibility curve? No, there's no change in the capital, the land, or the labor. So therefore, if we choose that, we stay at the same production possibility curve. All right, suppose on the other hand, that we choose to give up consumption goods. We say to the society, look, people, less consumption goods, less TVs. Remember, we're fully employed now. We'll produce 1,200 capital goods, but you'll have less consumer goods. Why would we do that? What is net investment? What is net investment? 200 everything, right? 1,200 gross investment, because that's the machines we produce. 1,000 depreciation. 200 net investment. What's the new capital stock? What was the original capital stock? Okay, this isn't hard, people. The original capital stock, I will remind you, was 10,000. What is the new capital stock? What is it? What is net investment? Okay, what is gross investment? 1,200. What is depreciation? 1,000. What is net investment? 200. What is the new capital stock? 10,200. There is a test. A test, for example, for dementia, senility, Alzheimer's is like this. Start subtracting 7 from 100. Okay, the first is 93, the next is 86, etc. Is this a senile class already at the age of 20? No, so give it 10,200. What does that mean to the production possibility curve? It shifts up. The society can produce more. So then, see, PPC1, it shifts up. And the idea is, so this is a classic statement in idea in economics. If we give up consumption goods so we can produce capital goods, we can increase our production possibilities and produce more consumption goods and more capital goods. Okay, Soviet Union and China. Show me the application of this idea in plans. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a lot of time in initial years of like 5-year economic plan.
Yeah, have you guys heard of this, the 5-year economic plan, Mao's China? Please say you have. Poor Mao, I mean, he just died, you didn't know that. And Russia, the 5-year plan. Basically, they said to their people, look people, we need roads and subways and factories and steel plants and everything else. We're going to produce them and we're going to give up consumption. And they grew incredibly quickly. They did, like Soviet Union went from Serfdom was abolished in the Soviet, in Russia in, I think, 1867, I'm not absolutely correct, it's spelled there. In 1905, in 1900, Russia had about 5 factories. And they were already a population of 100 million. And by 1914, I mean, this is an unbelievably backward place. They were destroyed by World War I, totally destroyed. By 1945, they defeated the Germans. They just built themselves up. You know, if you think that the West defeated the Germans, dream on. 90% of the German army fought the Russians. The Russians defeated the Germans. Where did they come from? They just built up their capital stock. Again and again and again and again. But the thing was that they never did eventually produce consumer goods. So they fell apart, right? But these are the kind of things. This is the trade-off. I want you to understand that. There's a trade-off. Okay? Okay, good. These are just ideas. The main thing, look at my problem, my exams, and see what we want. Okay, just think about that. Now we get to the nitty-gritty. Everybody, look at my table. This is unbelievably relevant. Okay, let's move this down to... All right. This is your week. What I've done here is I've imputed a dollar value to everything you do, right? So that I thought that for studying, it's only worth $8 an hour to you. A class, I'll say, is worth $25 an hour to you. You can see going out with your friends on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. If you thought about it, it was worth $16 an hour. Put a money value in everything you do in a week, okay? Just do it. And here I'm having dinner with your mother, and that's $30 an hour. I'm at a soft spot for my mom. Okay? So, and onward, do I have anything exciting in here? That's the top, I guess. And all the rest. Is there anything else there? Where's the exams?
$50
Thursday, right there, exam is $50. You wouldn't want to miss an exam. Right? So just think of it. All I'm doing is saying, let's do a dollar value to everything. The opportunity cost is an exam, but let's express it as a dollar value. Let's talk about Monday. Now, so what I'm going to do to you is this. I am going to offer you guys, whatever, I forget what it is, I'm going to say $14 an hour, okay? $14 an hour to work for me, and basically that's pretty good money, right? Reasonable. All you got to do is go on your computer and do some stupid little survey, right? Just go on for an hour, you'll get $14, a law. And if you need some money, you do as many hours as you want. Look at Monday and tell me how many hours you'll work for me. Just do it. Imagine you're this person and you tell me how many hours you work for me.
5.
5 hours. Now everybody in this room knows how many hours you work, right? Just look at it. How did you work it out? How did you work it out? Yeah, choose every hour whose opportunity cost is less than or equal to $14. Is that not correct? Like you would have to be some kind of a dope to go on and work for me for $14 an hour when you're going to dinner and it's worth $15 an hour. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. You're going to skip a lecture to do that? No. But studying that, I don't need to do that. Lunch, I can skip that. You can eat during lunch, study. And so you would do all those ones that are less than $14 an hour, okay? So then I would say, all right, in the whole week, find out how many hours you've worked. And you would see that you work all those hours up to the point, all the hours that are less, the opportunity cost is less than $14 an hour. Everybody? We say right up to $14 an hour. It's simplified later. But strictly speaking, all hours less than $14 an hour. Now here is the really interesting thing. All you've got to do is figure out, when you figure out the hours you're going to work, you just look at that and you go up to the last hour, which is like $14. If I had one $14 hour there, or 1 hour that was $13.99, you work every hour up to that hour. So the interesting thing is this. What determines the number of your hours is not some complicated thing of, I have to add up the stuff that I make from the 20 hours, multiply that, and subtract from that my opportunity cost of those hours. It's way too difficult. This is really simple. You look at the last hour. We call it the marginal hour, the last hour. So it turns out you work every single hour. Let's say it was, what did I got that was all by itself? $16 an hour, let's say. You would work every hour, including this hour, if we let you, if it was exactly the same, if we counted that. It turns out, this is what economics says, the last hour that you would work, the opportunity cost of the last hour that you work determines the whole number of hours that you work. Right? We're going to see this later. I don't know about here. But I'll show it to you later, same idea. But basically, we say you work up to the point where the last hour you work gives you more than the opportunity, the revenue from the last hour you work is greater than the cost of the last hour you work. Here the cost is the opportunity cost. The revenue is $14 an hour. So you work every hour that is sold. You don't have to add up all those hours. You just know, scan through it. As long as the hour is less than the opportunity cost is less than the revenue, you work all those hours. Okay? Now, if I did this in a functional form, which is the way you oftentimes see it in economics, like this, supposing I had the hours lined up like this, say, here's the hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the number of hours. We'll do it like this. 5 hours, 10 hours, and I put them in order of their cost of an hour. So I put down, there's the 25, there's the $8 hours, like this. Then we go up to these, then I don't know exactly, whatever. Right? That's all the hours. This is the $8 hours, then it might go up to $9, this is the $10, right, everybody? I've got them in order. How many hours do you work? It's really simple. There it is, done. Bang, finished. You're looking, we call this the margin. You're looking at the last one. You don't need to even talk about all this junk here. Forget it. Just line it up, bang. You're working this many hours. Instantly you have the answer. And now you might say, how much am I making? We use this for firms too. This could be the cost for firms, we'll discuss later. As firms produce more, for reasons we're going to explain, their costs go up. That's why I was saying if I have to produce more under certain conditions, it's going to cost me more to produce these packages. Right? So basically, this is the opportunity cost, this is your revenue, and this is your profit right here. And maximizing profit has nothing to do with figuring out the total revenue and subtracting all this junk here to start with. The first thing to do is to find out how many hours you work. And once you figure that out, what's the output of the firm, then you can figure out the profit. Everybody? This is flat out straightforward. Now it turns out to be really relevant because most people don't understand, or didn't understand, in fact most people today probably don't understand, that opportunity cost increases. You know it does. You know that every hour in the week is not the same. And yet if you talked about, like, what does it cost to produce a car? Do you think every car costs the same to produce? Do you? If you produce 1,000 cars, it costs $10,000 for the 1,000th car. If you produce 20,000 cars, it costs $1,000 for the 20,000 cars. Is that what you think? No. Because we're going to see cost change. Right? In particular, the marginal cost goes up. I'm going to hit this again with you guys. But this is the idea. And all you need to know, and this is our old theory, you work, you produce to the point, you work to the point, you do all this stuff to the point where your total revenue is at the greatest point, where you get the greatest difference between your total revenue and your total cost. And you find that by going up to the hour or the output, the last one, where the revenue is higher than the cost. Oftentimes we say you go right up to the point where the revenue is equal to the cost, just to make it simple, right? Because I wouldn't want to have to do this and say then you go up to this hour right here, the one that's just below that. No, we just say simply we go to that one. Okay? This is the whole theory. I'm not kidding. This is the whole theory. I'll be going over and over and over. It's called, which is why I have this wonderful little thing here for you guys. Marginal revenue we produce the output where the revenue of the last unit is equal to the revenue, the cost of the last unit. Now people would say, why would I do that? Why am I going to produce up to the hour where I get $14 an hour and it costs me, say, $12.50? Why don't I just produce up to the hour where I get $14 an hour and it costs me $8 an hour? Because that's a puzzle for people. But no, of course, I'm going to give you this. You've got something you got there. I'm going to give you $14. I'm going to keep giving you $14. And you can give me something. If the something is worth $8 to you, give it to me and I'll give you 14. In fact, we'll just have you give me dollars. You can give me $8, I'll give you 14. You're not going to stop there. I'm going to give you 14, you're going to give me $12.50. You're going to give me 13, I'll give you 14. I'm going to give you 14, you'll give me $13.99. It makes sense, right? But at 14, you'll stop. So it turns out the margin, the last one, determines everything. That is the formula of the course. Now I'll tell you, 25 years, I never connected this lecture with everything that goes, I kind of understood it, but that's the connection, finally after 25 years. This is what it's all about. Opportunity cost, marginal revenue greater than marginal cost, up to that hour, that output, that determines, in modern economics, this was discovered by Marshall in 1890, that's the center of modern economics. Now when I talk about demand, you're going to see the same idea. The same idea. As I'll show you, it turns out, just to give you an example, we'll go through it in a minute, I just want to hit this point home. The price of oil was $2.50 in 1960, the price of West Texas crude. I'll show you the diagram, it's in your next set of notes. By 1970, it was $10 a barrel. By 1980, it was $4 a barrel. That's the energy crisis. 1980, it was $40 a barrel. In 2007, it was $145 a barrel. How much was the price of oil in 2000? And most of you are $100 a barrel. No, it was less than $20 a barrel. It was like $10 a barrel. The price of oil in 1999, in terms of adjusted prices, was about the same price it was in 1960. Why do you think we have those stupid Hummers on the road? People laugh at Cadillacs with their huge fins. Hummers are the Cadillacs that existed in the 1960s because the price of oil in 1999 was dirt cheap. But it went from $20 a barrel. Now the whole world is consuming oil. Between 1999 and 2007, the total world consumption of oil probably went up by 10%, maybe 20%. 20%. But the price of oil went from $20 to almost $150 because to produce the last barrel of oil cost $150. If we want that last barrel of oil, it costs $150 and we need to produce it. But also, it doesn't matter that, the whole of the Middle East and many other places in the world are producing oil at $20 a barrel. Who cares? It wouldn't matter if 95% of all the oil in the world costs $20 a barrel. If we need 5% more oil, to get that extra 5%, it has to be produced, say, in, this tar sands, and let's say it costs $150 a barrel, then we have to pay $150 a barrel. That's all there is to it. So the margin, the last one, determines the price, right? This is everything. This is everything. Now, I need you to constantly, every day, every lecture, think about that and pound it home, because you'll see over and over and over again, it's the same idea, okay? Everything is the same idea. Now, normally people don't have that idea because they think costs, as I say, are constant. What does it cost for a shoemaker to produce a shoe? $10. If they produce 100 shoes, it costs them $10 a shoe. Yeah, that was like, before 1860 or something like that. Nowadays, because of factories and this and that, that's not true. The more shoes you produce, the more costly it is, for reasons we're going to show you. In the short run, more costly, in the long run, less costly. But I'm just telling you, that is it. In this course, you need to understand that marginal revenue is marginal cost, and it is 50% of the micro course. Understand it, think about it, apply it, you'll see you constantly do it. Okay, ready? It is the secret. It is the secret. Okay, good. Can't stress it enough. I've never had that little hand before, and next day when I ask you what the secret is. Now notice, This is this. We say MR equals MC. Now, it would be nice if Mr. equaled Ms., wouldn't it? Then maybe you could remember it. But I promise you, next day, very likely, I'll come in next day, guys. Of course, on the weekend, I suppose you're going to be killing off some brain cells, amongst other things. But basically, when I come here, I'm going to say, what's the secret? What's the formula for maximizing profit and maximizing, return and wages and everything else? What is it? And you're not going to believe it. I hope it's not so. But in this room, I'll get some really dulled out people. They'll stare at you. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You can't remember this? But it happens every time. It happens every time. Just remember, MR equals MC, that quantity where that's true. And all the way through the course, bang, bang. Now, it turns out we have to understand that. Why is that so? Why does marginal cost increase? Why does marginal revenue behave the way it does? That's what we have to understand. But the formula shines through all of this. Okay, everybody? Think about it, think about it, think about it. And all the time I'll be talking and making you think about it. Okay. See this? Don't forget. Next day, I'm just going to point to people randomly. And I'm going to ask you who it is. And the rest of you can join me. I don't want you to throw things at me. I might. But if they don't know, let's jeer them and laugh at them. Okay? Get the message. There's two M's and there's an equal sign. And one of them is a Mr. and the other is MC. Okay? I'm really saying this and threatening you this because with my vast experience, when I arrive probably on Wednesday and ask this question, it's going to be the same old thing. Everybody look at me like, who are you? What are you asking us? And I want you to realize this is all you need to know. This course is not hard. But you can't even do the basics like that, then you're in deep trouble. All right, it's engagement. Okay, good, we're enough of that. All this is preamble for the next play, which is demand and supply. All right. Now this is incredibly important.